And they're falling off the bone already. The flavor's killer. All right, guys, welcome back. It's Tim. Today we're hanging ribs on the Gateway drum smoker. So I've got these spare ribs here. I'm not gonna do a full competition trim, not too worried about the final appearance. I just want them good enough so that the hook stays in them and that they look good enough to serve to the family. And that's what we're after today. We've got some beautiful spare ribs here. Just square them up lightly. One thing to keep in mind, if we're gonna be hanging ribs, if we have a really long slab, you might have to come back in and just take one of the bones off just to shorten them up so they don't get down into the charcoal basket. That'd be about the only thing you really need to do differently. So that's that. Next thing up is to take off the membrane. Grab your paper towel, get it squared up, and pull, and that's all you gotta do. So I like to remove the membrane just so it cooks more evenly, let that rub set in, and just to make sure that we don't get a tough, snappy bite at the end. You don't have to remove the membrane, but I personally like to get at least most of it off. So as always, I'm gonna go ahead and inject my ribs. I think this is a valuable step that you don't wanna skip. We've got our famous pork marinade mix. I like to take about 2 capfuls of this to about 20 ounces of water. Very simple. Put it in there, shake it up. So get your injector, and I just like to go between the bones. Give it a nice squirt between each bone. Again, we're just trying to add flavor and moisture to these ribs. All right, I've got my ribs trimmed up and injected. Next up is gonna be the seasoning, and of course I'm going with that sweet and savory first. This is our all-purpose rub. It's won more rib and pork awards than any other rub in the world, I would believe. And after that, I like to give them a little shot of that Cajun rub, Cajun Bayou. Now this one you can go a little lighter on because it's gonna be a little spicier. It's got a little more salt content to it, but it's gonna wake those ribs up a little bit. And then we'll flip it over and do the exact same thing to the top side. Now if you can, let that sit for about 30 minutes on your countertop. That meat is gonna start to sweat and that rub's gonna start to soak into that meat. And while we're waiting on that, I'll go ahead and get my hooks ready because today we're hanging ribs on the 55-gallon Gateway. I'm gonna go about 2 ribs deep here. Get my hook in there real nice. You can do it from either end. I usually prefer to go from the thinner end. And there I am, about 2 ribs deep. Want to make sure you get a good hold on those ribs. And I'll just set my rib hanger attachment right on the top row. And now I'm ready to hang the ribs. So I'm gonna put 2 on one side. I'm gonna go ahead and put the third one on the other side to balance it out. Now here's the deal. What's so cool about the rib hanger compared to laying them flat is the capacity. I mean, I can literally hang probably at least 12 slabs of ribs on this one cooker. Whereas when you're laying them down flat, you can get 3, maybe 4 slabs on here of full-blown spares. So I don't want to waste any more time. I'm going to go ahead and get these guys back on, get the lid on. And I'm going to let that run for about 30 minutes before we start to spin the grate. All right, guys, it's been about 30 minutes. I want to check out these hanging ribs and see what's going on in here. I can hear them. They sound right. Now, if you're listening, you can hear my pace of my drippings is nice and slow. There's a sizz every couple minutes. And you can tell how they're cooking by that sound alone. If you start hearing that pace pick up too much, you'll know that they're not quite, or that they're going too fast. So what I'm looking for, I want this rub to tack up, and it's approaching that time right now, but we need about another 30 for these. What's cool about hanging ribs compared to laying them flat is when you're hanging them, the heat and the air is actually grazing up the sides of them. So when you lay them flat, it's actually blasting off the broad side of them. So it's a totally different heat than what you would get when you lay them flat. Even though you're closer to the fire, the heat is just a little less intense because it's grazing on by. But it makes a beautiful looking rib. I'm gonna go ahead and just give these guys about a half spin. And like I said, they're looking awesome. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing for now. All right, so it's been an hour exactly on our hanging ribs, and I can hear them. They're starting to pick up the pace a little bit on their drippings. Carefully get them off here. We got a little bone pull back already. Ooh, we got color. Rub is tacking up. We could probably wrap these any second. This one right here is looking good. Look at that color after 1 hour. It's beautiful. I'm gonna give them about 20 more minutes and then we're gonna wrap them up. All right, y'all, it's been an hour and a half now on these ribs. Let's take a look. Yeah, I love it. Look at that color. So what's cool about these hanging ribs, I mean, you have no grill marks, no anything, and you've got like perfect mahogany color. Dang it, I forgot how good this was. And they're already feeling a little bit tender as well. So I'm gonna do a simplified version of the wrap we normally do right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit them with a little Tennessee Red, because I've never wrapped anything without Tennessee Red. I would suggest buying this by the gallon. Save yourself a little bit of money. And then of course, if we're making ribs, we're using sun-drop. Put a little of that in there just to let them braise. And that's it right there, my friends. That's an easy wrap. Go ahead and double foil them so they don't leak. They even smell good. Got our 3 slabs wrapped up. I'm gonna go ahead and take the hanger out, replace it with the grate. Put the grate back in. Put 3 back on and lock them down. All right, so it's been about 45 minutes since we wrapped up these ribs. I really like to open them up. You could poke them with a Thermopin, but I'm a feel guy. I like to, oh yeah. See how they're about to crack like that? You can't really shake them. To me, that means they are perfect. All right, we've hit 208. That's what we were shooting for, 208 to 212. That's gonna be our range. And we're right in that area. Perfect. Pick them up and you can see this one's got a little more spring than the others. Whereas this one right here, see how it's bending over. So for ribs, I'm gonna go ahead and use Champion's Blend. So we've got the foil opened up. Gonna give them a nice coat. Just gonna even out this sauce a little bit. I like to hit the bones, get them nice and shiny. Before I put them back on, I'm just gonna give them a light dust of sweet and savory, just to kind of touch up the flavor and the color. We'll set these bad boys right back on. Lock them up for about 10 minutes. All right guys, so we had these ribs hanging for about an hour. We wrapped them up for about 45 minutes and then we set the sauce here for about 15 minutes. And I'm telling you right now, they look awesome. Beautiful. All right guys, there you have it. We hung ribs for about an hour. We wrapped them up in foil for about 45 minutes, all at 300 degrees. And then we set the sauce on them for about 15 minutes at the end. We let them rest. They look gorgeous. Now it's time to give them a try. Woo! And they're falling off the bone already. They're looking good. Actually looks really good. Good moisture. Tender. Look at that. The flavor's killer. I'd be happy with that right there. Try it out. If you haven't hung your ribs yet on the Gateway Drum Smoker, you're missing out. It's easy, it's fast, and it's delicious.